If the long history of horse racing could be summarized in one sentence, it is, my horse is faster than yours. That is what has fueled horse racing for centuries. Even now, people still love to discuss or argue on which racehorses were truly the greatest, including our most recent equine stars, such as Flightline. A lot of names have been dropped comparing him to other horses, but the horse that I think is the most like him is Ghostzapper. Both are incredibly fast, but also unsound horses, with Grade 1 wins at sprint, mile, and classic distances, including the Breeders' Cup Classic. But who would I think would win in a horse race? Let's find out in the first episode of Horse Racing Versus. Standing 16-1 hands, sired by Awesome Again out of Baby Zip by Relaunch, we have Ghostzapper, the world's best racehorse of 2004. Ghostzapper did a lot in the few races that he did run, but the one thing that never changed was the fact that he was fast, and he could use that speed however he pleased. He won the Breeders' Cup Classic going gate to wire, but also won the Vosburg Stakes after starting in last place. He was a jack of all trades, master of all. He would use these constantly shifting tactics to win Horse of the Year over Smarty Jones in 2004, and also the aforementioned Best Racehorse in the World rankings. He won 9 times from 11 starts, 3 in Grade 1 company at drastically different distances. His win in the Breeders' Cup Classic also secured him a track and stakes record at the same time, that still stands today. And the 2 times he did lose can be chalked up down to hard luck trips. And the horses he defeated were no slouches. He beat 2 Breeders' Cup Classic and Dubai World Cup winners, as well as fellow Hall of Fame inductee and Horse of the Year, Aziri. Overall, Ghostzapper was an incredibly versatile horse, whose speed, no matter how it was used, was always greater than any other horse in the early 2000s.
And it's a photo finish that Ghostzapper wins by a zap!
But it's been almost 20 years since Ghostzapper last raced, and a lot of new stars have stepped onto the oval. Our newest equine star might just be his match. Standing at least 16-2 hands, but theorized to be as tall as 17 hands by some, sired by Tappet out of Feathered by Indian Charlie, it is the racehorse more valuable than a private jet, Flightline. And he sure could move like a jet too. He either led the pack after only a few jumps, or stayed hot on the trail of the leaders. His raw talent made it so he didn't need to run a race perfectly. His 3 races this year are good examples of this. He was able to bully his way to the lead in the Met Mile after being blocked at the start, and in his last 2 races, he never settled, running very fast early. While this could be a problem for a lesser horse, Flightline was so much better than any other horse he faced that his early moves would only serve to help aid in making his incredible final win margins. Despite racing only 6 times, Flightline achieved more than most horses, winning 4 Grade 1s in total at sprint, mile, and classic distances. Now doesn't that sound familiar? His big difference in comparison to his opponent was the execution. The closest any racehorse ever got to him at the wire was 8 1/4 lengths. His average winning margin for these 6 races was nearly 11 lengths, even while running against the best horses in America. And those best horses in America were Dubai World Cup winner, Country Grammar, Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile and Pegasus World Cup winner, Life is Good, you'll hear more about him later, and multiple Grade 1 winner, Tava. While not as good as what Ghostzapper ran against, these were still good horses that he turned into mincemeat. Overall, Flightline is a very inexperienced horse, but has more than enough raw talent to make these shortcomings incredibly minor. But can he toy with Ghostzapper as easily as he's done with his other opponents? Let's find out and get to the post-parade. To make this hypothetical race, I'm using the game Champion Jockey Special on the Nintendo Switch. Now in this game, the minimum number of horses that you can have in a race is 5, so we're not going to make this a match race. To fill the other 3 slots, we'll feature these 2 horses' most famous opponents. Number 1, St. Liam, the horse who battled Ghostzapper down to the wire in the Woodward Stakes, and in his absence, took the Breeders' Cup Classic a year after Ghostzapper. Number 2, Roses in May, the horse who chased after Ghostzapper in the Breeders' Cup Classic, and then afterward won the Dubai World Cup. Number 3, Life is Good. The closest thing to a quote, rival to Flightline, he is the only horse that Flightline ever ran against with more early speed than even him, but he doesn't have much else to back it up. And to round out this field, we got our two main stars. Number 4, Ghostzapper, and number 5, Flightline. And now with the post-parade settled, we'll now see them race. They're gonna go 1.25 miles at Churchill Downs. Why Churchill Downs? Because I like the track. And also it's a track that neither of them have run at, so it's a fair playing field. With that out of the way, let's race. And now the race we've all been waiting for. Flightline versus Ghostzapper, and they're off and racing! The fastest out of the gate was Life is Good, as to be expected. He's already opened up 2 lengths on the opposition. Flightline is gonna go after him somewhat impatiently, not waiting for him to tire out just yet. Ghostzapper will be 3rd, biding his time. Then it will be Roses in May, just half a length behind, and the trailer is gonna be St. Liam. So Life is Good is going to be our pace setter, just in front by about 2 lengths. Flightline is making sure he doesn't get any further ahead as we round the clubhouse turn. Life is Good opens up quickly. Now he's clear by 4. Flightline has backed off ever so slightly, 2 back to Ghostzapper, then another 3/4 to Roses in May, and the trailer is St. Liam. Now Flightline is going to come at it with another approach. Life is Good is losing his lead. He's only 2 lengths in front now. Flightline slowly wearing him down. He has not let him out of his sight, but he might be letting Ghostzapper out of his sight as he skims the rail and now takes the lead from both of them. Flightline will be 2nd again. Ghostzapper is going to lead the pack instead of Life is Good. Life is Good is spent. It is Ghostzapper in front by a length, saving ground on the inside. Flightline is on the far outside, losing ground, but he may not be done just yet. Here he goes, he's slowly moving towards Ghostzapper, and now Ghostzapper's only half a length in front, and now Flightline's been asked. Here he goes! He's never been asked like this before. This is the real deal. Flightline, with all of his energy, has just taken the lead by 2 lengths, but he might be spent. Ghostzapper still has something to say. He's moving up on the inside rail, trying to take down Flightline. Can Flightline hang on in the final 100 yards? The answer is yes! By just a neck. Ghostzapper flew late and gave him a real scare, but Flightline was just too good. So what gives Flightline the edge? This was a close race, and it is horse racing, so there is an outcome where every horse could have won, even the 3 understudy horses in this field. But I think Flightline would be the most likely winner, but not by much. Flightline's the type of horse to set his own pace, forcing Ghostzapper to play by Flightline's rules. If he matched Flightline stride for stride in the early going, it would be very likely the two would just cause a pace meltdown. One edge Ghostzapper had was that he was battle-tested and versatile in using his speed. Flightline's never had to fight down to the wire for his victories. So it would come down to if Ghostzapper could run down the tiring Flightline in time, and if Flightline could get far enough away early to hold him off. The edge comes in the sheer effortlessness of Flightline's performances. In the Pacific Classic specifically, he was able to run just as fast as Ghostzapper while being only hand-ridden and eased in the stretch. Now how good an all-out Flightline would be is unclear, but if we go off his and Ghostzapper's best races, Ghostzapper would definitely take a chunk out of his huge winning margin in the Pacific Classic, but to get rid of all 19 lengths would seem daunting even for him. And this was in a race where Flightline was never truly asked. So with that said, I give Flightline the victory 55% of the time, and Ghostzapper 45% of the time. And that concludes our first episode of Horse Racing Versus. Comment down other horse racing matchups you want to see, and prepare yourselves, because next time on Horse Racing Versus, Rachel Alexandra will race against Queen Z herself, Zenyatta, in a battle for the greatest mare of the 21st century.